A call has come from heaven, and it has come to your address. It is not a general word thrown out to the crowd hoping someone will catch it. It is a summons with your name on it, and I am the one speaking. There is something I must tell you before it arrives, because I do not deal with those I love by surprise. I speak first. I have always spoken first. Before the flood, I told Noah. Before the famine, I told Joseph. Before the night of deliverance, I told an entire people exactly what to do at their doors. And now, before this thing enters your home, I am telling you, something is going to change in the place where you live. I do not mean the walls. I do not mean the roof or the rooms or the things you have arranged inside them. I mean the air of the place, the feeling that meets you when you come in and shut the door behind you. The weight that has been sitting in those rooms for longer than you want to admit. That is what I am coming for. You know the weight I am speaking of. You have felt it. There have been evenings when you walked in and the quiet did not comfort you. It pressed on you. There have been mornings when you woke inside your own home and felt like a stranger there. You have moved through those rooms doing ordinary things, and underneath the ordinary there was a low hum of worry that never fully stopped. Nobody else heard it. I heard it. I want to say something about the way I have watched you, and I want to say it plainly, because you have heard flowery things before and they did not reach you. I have not been observing you from a distance like a stranger watching through a window. I have been in the room. When you sat at the edge of your bed with your head in your hands and said nothing at all, that silence was a prayer, and I received it as one. When you got up and kept going because there was no one else to do what needed doing, I did not see a person barely holding on. I saw someone I am proud of. You have been strong in a way that costs something. Nobody handed you that strength. You built it in the dark, one ordinary day at a time, and most of the people around you have no idea what it took. So hear me now. The season you have been living in is not the season you are about to live in. Something is turning. Not somewhere far away, not in a future so distant that you will be too tired to enjoy it. Here, in your house, in the place where the hardest part of your life happened. That is my way. I do not usually repair a life from the outside in. I start at the center, at the place where a person is most themselves, and I work outward from there. That is why the change begins where you sleep and where you eat and where you have done your crying. If I fix everything around you but leave that place untouched, I have given you nothing. Let me tell you what you can expect, so that when it comes, you will recognize it instead of doubting it. It will not begin loudly. There will be no thunder in your hallway. It will begin as a difference you notice and cannot explain. You will walk into a room that has felt heavy for years, and it will not feel heavy. You will sit down in the evening and realize that the thing you usually brace for did not come. You will sleep, and it will be real sleep, the kind that actually returns something to you. You may catch yourself standing still in the middle of a room, quiet, wondering why you feel steady. That is me. I have moved in. Do not talk yourself out of it. This is important, so I will say it directly. The first thing many people do when peace arrives is question whether they are allowed to have it. You have been braced for so long that ease feels suspicious to you. You have learned to wait for the other thing to fall. But nothing is falling. I am not setting you up for a loss. I am settling into your space on purpose, and I intend to stay. There is a reason I am giving you this warning ahead of time. When I begin to move in a place, there is always a stretch of adjustment. Things that were buried come up. Old memories surface without being invited. Feelings you thought you had finished with knock on the door again. If nobody told you what that was, you would think you were going backward. You are not going backward. Things rise so they can be carried out. A house is not cleaned by leaving what is under the floor untouched. So when it begins, do not panic and do not run. Stay in the room with me. I know what has been asked of you. I know how long you have waited for an answer that never seemed to come. You prayed with real faith at the beginning. Then you prayed out of habit. Then there were stretches when you did not pray at all, and you carried a quiet shame about that too. Let me take that from you right now. Your prayers were not lost in the air. They did not evaporate because you got tired. Every one of them was received, and every one of them is being answered in an order you cannot see yet. You have been asking for a change in your circumstances. I am giving you something better first. I am changing the place you return to. Because a person can survive almost anything in the world outside if they have one place where they can breathe. That place is about to be yours. I am not asking you to understand all of this tonight. I am asking you to stay awake for it. Do not let this pass you by while you are busy with something small. What is coming into your home is not a mood, and it is not a feeling that will burn off by morning. It is my presence, and it is settling in. Say Amen out loud right now if you are ready to receive it. Now let me speak about what has been sitting in those rooms, because I cannot clear a thing you refuse to name. A house holds more than furniture. It holds what happened in it. There is a room where you received news that changed everything, and part of you has never walked back into that room the same way. There is a chair where you sat after a conversation ended badly. There is a doorway where someone stood and said something you have replayed 100 times since. You have kept living around those places, stepping over them the way a person steps over a loose board. I know exactly where they are, and I am not going to make you pretend they are not there. Much of what has settled into your home came from people. That is the hardest part, and I will not soften it. You were not worn down by strangers. You were worn down by people you let close. You handed someone your trust with both hands, and they treated it carelessly. You defended people who would not have defended you. You gave to someone in a season when you had very little to give, and it was never mentioned again. And the strange thing about that kind of wound is how quiet it is. There is no mark anyone can see. So the world expects you to be finished with it long before you are. Do not tell yourself that I do not understand this. I understand it better than anyone who has ever tried to comfort you about it. I had 12 men close to me. One of them sat at my table, ate the bread I passed to him, and had already agreed on a price for me. 30 pieces of silver. He did not attack me in the open. He came to me in a garden and greeted me with a kiss, and used the sign of friendship as the signal for the arrest. That is what betrayal actually looks like. It arrives wearing the face of someone who was welcome in your life. And there was Peter. Peter meant it when he said he would stand by me. He was not lying when he said it. He simply was not as strong as he believed. And when the pressure came, he said 3 times that he had never known me. I looked at him across that courtyard, and he went out and wept. So when you sit in your house and turn over what was done to you, understand who is sitting there with you. Not someone guessing, someone who has been in it. Here is what I want you to do with it, and it is not what you expect. I am not asking you to decide it did not matter. It mattered. I am not asking you to call the wrong a small thing. It was not small. I'm asking you to put it down and let me carry it, because you have been holding it with both hands for years, and it has cost you far more than it has ever cost them. That is what forgiveness actually is. It is not a statement about them. It is a transfer. You are handing me something too heavy for you, and I am taking full responsibility for it. What is owed to you does not disappear when you let go of it. It changes hands. It becomes mine to settle, and I settle things properly and in my own time. Think about how much of your strength has gone into holding that weight. Think about what you could do with that strength if it were returned to you. There is another thing living in your house that I intend to remove, and it did not come from any person. It came from the enemy of your soul, and it came in the form of a voice. That voice has been telling you a story about yourself for a long time. It says you are too far behind now. It says the best years already went by while you were busy surviving. It says that if people knew what you actually think about at night, they would think less of you. It says you have prayed about the same thing so many times that even I must be tired of hearing it. Every one of those is a lie, and I will answer each one. You are not behind. You are exactly where a person is who has been through what you have been through, and I have never once measured you against someone whose road was easier. The best years are not gone. What I have prepared for you is not a leftover portion. And I am not tired of you. I have never been tired of you. A parent does not grow tired of a child asking to be held. Hear this clearly. My mercy is new every morning, not renewed occasionally when I judge that you have earned it. Every single morning, which means you have never once woken up in a house where my mercy had run out. So the voice that has been speaking in your home is losing its place. I am not merely arguing with it. I am removing its right to be there. There is a difference between a room where something painful is being disputed and a room where it simply no longer has permission to speak. You will feel this before you can describe it. One day soon you will notice that a thought which used to knock you down for the entire day comes and goes without touching you. You will hear the old accusation and it will sound thin, like something said from far away. That is not you becoming hard. That is you being covered. And your house will feel the difference first, because your house is where that voice has done most of its talking. I want you to picture something. Picture every heavy thing that has been left in those rooms being gathered up and carried out, not hidden, not shoved into a cupboard where you will find it again in a year. Carried out through the door and gone. The rooms are the same rooms. The air in them is not the same air. That is what I am doing. That is what is already beginning. Speak your amen now if you believe I am doing it. Now I want to take you back to a night I have never forgotten, because what happened at those doors is what is happening at yours. There was a nation living in a land that was not their own, and they had been there for 400 years. They were not waiting quietly. They were working under men who did not care whether they lived. Their days began early and ended late, and there was no end in sight that any of them could see. Then I told them a night was coming when everything would change. But notice what I asked of them. I did not ask them to fight. I did not ask them to run. I asked them to do something at their doors. Take a lamb, I said. Take the blood and mark the frame of the door, the two sides and the top. Then go inside and stay there. Every household did it or did not. And that mark on the door frame was the difference between a house that grieved that night and a house that did not. They did not fully understand what they were doing. They only knew that I had asked for something specific, at a specific place, in a specific hour, and that acting on my word was the whole of it. Those who marked their doors were not stronger than their neighbors. They were not more deserving. They simply took me at my word while it was still dark, and the promise had not yet been proven. That is what I am asking of you. I am marking your house, and I am asking you to answer. My child, I am asking you to place a portion of what you have, something of real weight, upon the altar of this work, as gold laid on the scales of this calling. Let it be a seed sown into deep water, an offering set on stone, not held back in fear. This is proof that your trust rests in my hand to provide, and that your heart no longer clings to lack. What you release in faith does not leave your life. It moves ahead of you into the harvest I am preparing. There was a woman named Rahab who understood this. Her city was about to fall, and every person in it knew it. She had no standing, no reputation worth protecting, and no one who would have spoken for her. But she was told to tie a scarlet cord in her window, and to gather everyone she loved inside her walls and keep them there. She did it. When the walls of that city came down, one section of wall stood, and it was hers. Not because she was better than the city she lived in, because she believed the word she had been given, and she marked her house. So let me tell you what this covering over your home actually means, because I do not want you imagining something vague. It means that some of what comes toward your life will not reach it. There are things that were forming against you that will lose their shape before they arrive. There are conversations that were going to go badly that will end well instead. There is a situation you have been dreading that will resolve without you having to fight it. You will not always know when this happens, and that is the strange part of being protected. Most of what I turn away from your door you will never learn about, but you will feel the pattern. You will look back over a stretch of months and notice that the usual run of trouble did not come. Things that used to land on you kept missing. You will not be able to point to a single dramatic rescue. You will only be able to say that something changed, and that you have been steadier than the circumstances should have allowed. That is a covering. That is what one looks like from the inside. I also want you to understand that this protection is not only about keeping harm out, it is about keeping something in. What I am building in your home needs a boundary around it, the way a young thing needs a fence until its roots are deep. The peace I am placing in your rooms is real, but it is new, and new things need to be guarded for a while. So there is a part in this that belongs to you, and I will not pretend otherwise. Be careful what you carry into your own doorway. Be careful about the conversations you invite into your evenings, the ones that stir you up and leave nothing good behind. Be careful about the person who only ever comes to you to pour out complaint and never to give anything back. I am not telling you to be unkind to anyone. I am telling you that a place set apart has to actually be set apart, or the word means nothing. You will find that you have become more sensitive to this than you used to be. Sharp words will bother you more. Noise will bother you more. A tone of voice you would have shrugged off a year ago will make you want to leave the room. Do not read that as weakness. That is your sense of what belongs being sharpened. You are learning the difference between what fits the atmosphere I am creating and what fights it. Trust that instinct. It is not moodiness. It is guidance. And there is one more thing I want to settle with you before we go further. There will be people who do not see any of this. They will come into your home and feel nothing unusual and go on as before. Do not let that shake you. Do not spend your strength trying to convince anyone. What I am doing here, I am doing for you, and it does not require a second witness to be real. Your job is not to explain me. Your job is to stay in the house and keep the door marked. I know how long you have stood at that door waiting for something to change. I know how many times you have looked out at the road and seen nothing coming. But I am telling you plainly, as I told them on that night before anything had happened yet, that this is the hour. The word has gone out. The mark is on the frame. Go inside and wait for me there. There is a woman in my word whose name is never given, and I want you to know her story, because her situation was worse than yours, and she is remembered for what happened inside her walls. She was a widow. The man who provided for her was gone. A debt was owed, and the one who was owed it was coming to take the last thing she had. She went to the prophet with nothing to offer and nothing to bargain with, and he asked her a question that must have sounded almost cruel. "What do you have in the house?" "Nothing," she said. "Nothing at all. Only a little oil in a jar." She thought she was describing her emptiness. She was actually describing the starting point. "Go and borrow vessels," he told her, "not a few. Then go in, shut the door behind you, and pour." So she gathered every empty container she could find, brought them into her own house, closed the door, and began to pour from a jar that should have run dry in a moment. It did not run dry. It kept pouring. It filled one vessel, and then the next, and then the next. It only stopped when there was nothing left to fill. Notice where that happened. Not in a public square. Not in front of witnesses who could confirm it. Behind a shut door, in an ordinary house, with no one watching but the ones who lived there. That is how I most often work, and that is how I intend to work with you. You have looked around your life and made the same calculation she made. You have counted what you have and concluded that it is not enough to change anything. I want to correct that calculation. What you have is not the measure of what is coming. It is only the place where I begin. The little that is left in your hand is not the end of the story. It is the seed of it. And notice the other thing. The amount she received was decided by the number of vessels she was willing to go and collect. The oil did not stop because I ran short. It stopped because she ran out of room. Her faith, expressed in something as simple as how many empty jars she was willing to carry home, set the size of what she received. So let me ask you what I asked her. What do you have in the house? Not what do you lack. What is actually there? There is more there than you have credited. There is a strength in you that has been tested and did not break. There is a skill you stopped valuing because it never made you famous. There is a kindness in you that has kept other people standing through their own hard seasons. There is faith, worn but real, still lighting the room after everything that has tried to put it out. That is oil. That is what I multiply. Now let me tell you about a man named Obed-Edom. The ark of my presence was being moved, and something went wrong on the road, and everyone was afraid of it. Nobody wanted it near them, so it was left at the house of this man, and it stayed there 3 months. And the word that comes down through the record is short and remarkable. I blessed the house of Obed-Edom and all that he had, everything in it, the people, the work, the animals, the fields. All of it flourished so plainly that others noticed and came to see. He did nothing to earn it. He simply hosted my presence, and my presence does not sit neutrally in a place. It changes what it touches. That is why I am telling you what is coming into your home. Where I settle, things grow. And then there was Zacchaeus, a small man in a crowd not well liked, who had made his money in a way that left him alone at the end of every day. He climbed a tree to see over the heads of people who would not make room for him, and I stopped under that tree and told him to come down, because I was going to his house that day. The crowd disliked that intensely. They said so. But before the day was finished, that man had made things right with everyone he had wronged, and I said out loud what had happened. Today salvation has come to this house, not to the temple, to the house, to the ordinary building where a disliked man lived alone. I keep pointing you back to houses because I want you to stop imagining that I am waiting to meet you somewhere impressive. I come to where people actually live. I come to the kitchen at an odd hour. I come to the room where the door is closed and nobody is performing. The place you think is too plain for me is the place I have chosen. So do not clean yourself up for this. Do not wait until you feel more worthy of the visit. Zacchaeus did not become a good man and then receive me. He received me, and the goodness followed. Here is what will begin to happen in your home. Provision will show up in ways that do not look dramatic and do not make a story you can tell easily. Something you thought you would have to buy will be given. A need you had already braced yourself to go without will quietly be met. Someone will offer you exactly the thing you needed and will have no idea why they thought of it. You will look at the sum of it at the end of a month and not be able to explain how it worked out. That is the oil filling the vessels. It rarely announces itself. It simply keeps pouring while the door is shut. And I want to say one thing about the fear that has followed you for years. The fear that there will not be enough. That fear has made you smaller than you were meant to be. It has made you hold on to things you should have released and turn down things you should have taken. It has whispered that you must protect yourself because no one else will. I am the one who provides for you. Not your effort, though I honor your effort. Not your carefulness, though I am not against it. Me. And I have never once failed to be enough for a household that trusted me with what it had. Go and gather your vessels. Do not gather a few. I told you earlier that things would rise before they left, and now I want to prepare you properly for that, because this is the part where people misread me. When I begin working in a place, the first sign is often not comfort. It is honesty. Things that have been packed away start coming to the surface. A memory arrives while you are doing something completely unrelated. A name you have not thought about in years comes into your mind and brings the whole feeling with it. You find yourself unexpectedly moved by something small and you cannot account for it. Do not be alarmed by this and do not assume you are unraveling. Nothing can be healed while it is buried. It has to come up into the light before I can take it out. Think of it the way you would think of clearing a room you have not properly opened in years. The first hour makes the room look worse than when you started. Everything is out in the middle of the floor, and if someone walked in at that moment, they would say you had made a mess of a room that was fine before. But the room was not fine. It was full and closed. And the only way to a clear room is straight through the middle of that hour. You are in that hour. Stay in it. I am not going to leave you standing in the middle of it alone. Some of what comes up will be things done to you. Some of it will be things you did, and that is harder. I know there are moments you would give a great deal to have back. Words that cannot be recalled. A season when you were not who you wanted to be. A person you failed when they needed you. I am not going to walk you through those to shame you. Shame keeps a thing exactly where it is. It never once healed anything. What I am doing is bringing it up so that it can be finished. Actually finished, rather than managed for another 20 years. And when I forgive a thing, it is not filed away where it can be raised again. It is gone. That is why the accusing voice has no ground to stand on. It is arguing about a matter that has already been closed by the only one with authority to close it. Now let me tell you what will start returning to you once the room is clear. Your sleep will come back. I mean this literally, and you will notice it early. You have been lying down with your mind still working, running through the same 3 problems in the same order night after night. That will stop. You will find yourself going under quickly and waking up having actually been somewhere restful. That alone will change how you meet your days. Your thoughts will settle. There has been a scattered quality to your thinking lately, a sense of being pulled several directions at once and finishing nothing well. That is what carrying too much does to a mind. As the weight comes off, you will find that you can hold one thing at a time again and see it through. Your reactions will change, and other people will notice before you do. Something that would have set you off will happen, and you will pause instead of firing back. Not because you are suppressing anything, because it genuinely does not have the same grip on you. You will hear yourself answer calmly in a situation that used to take your whole evening, and afterward you will think about it and know that something in you has moved. You will also feel the urge to put your surroundings in order, to clear a corner, to fix the thing you have walked past 100 times, to make the space around you look the way the space inside you is starting to feel. That urge is not restlessness, and it is not vanity. It is guidance, and I would like you to follow it. Small obedience in small things is how larger things get built. And there will be moments of unexplained gladness. It will come while you are doing something entirely ordinary, and it will not be tied to any good news. Do not question it. Do not talk yourself down from it. Your spirit is responding to my nearness, and it is right to respond. Let me tell you about a man who slept in the open with a stone under his head. Jacob was running. He had made a real mess of his family, some of it deliberately, and he was leaving with nothing settled behind him. He stopped at a place because the sun went down, not because it was special. He lay down in the dirt and slept, and in the night I showed him a stairway between heaven and the ground, with my messengers going up and down on it, and I stood above it and spoke to him. When he woke, he said something I want you to hold on to. Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. That is the truth about the years you thought you were alone. I was in those rooms, in the hardest stretch, in the season you would not want to live through twice. I was there. You did not sense me, and I understand why that was hard, but my presence was never dependent on your ability to feel it. Jacob took the stone he had used for a pillow and set it up as a marker, and he called that place the house of God. The hard ground where he slept in trouble became the place he named after me. That is what I am doing with your house. The place where the difficulty happened is going to become the place that is known for my presence. I am not moving you away from it and starting over somewhere clean. I am redeeming the actual address, so when the memories rise, understand what is happening. I am not reopening the wound. I am removing what was left in it. There is a difference, and you will know it by what follows. Reopening a wound leaves you worse. What I do leaves you lighter. Give it a little time, let it come up. Let it go out the door. And in the meantime, be patient with yourself. You have been strong for a long stretch without much relief, and the first days of rest can feel strange to a person who has forgotten what they are for. If you trust me with what is rising, say Amen. Now hear what begins to happen outside your door, because a change in the center never stays in the center. The first place you will see it is in people. Some relationships in your life are going to grow noticeably warmer, and you will not be able to say why. An old connection will come back around. Someone will begin treating you with a respect they did not show before. A conversation that has been stuck for years will suddenly move, and afterward, you will both wonder what changed. And some connections will loosen. This is the part I want to prepare you for, because it can be misread as loss. There are people in your life who were suited to who you were during the hard season. They knew how to stand beside a person who was struggling. Some of them, if I am honest with you, were more comfortable when you were struggling. As you steady, those relationships will lose their footing. Contact will thin out. Nothing will be said and no offense will be given. There will simply be less. Do not chase that. Let it settle where it settles. I am not punishing anyone, and I am not asking you to be cold. I am arranging your life so that what is around you matches what I am building in you. That means some things move closer and some things move back, and both of those are mercy, though only one of them feels like it. You will also start to notice opportunity moving toward you rather than away. For a long time you have felt like everything worth having was just out of reach, and that you were always applying, asking, waiting on someone else to decide. That is going to shift. Ideas will come to you clearly. A door will open in a direction you were not even pursuing. Someone with the ability to help you will think of your name in a room you are not in. You will find yourself in the right conversation at the right hour without having arranged a single part of it. That is not luck, and it is not your own cleverness. It is alignment. When a life comes into order, the things meant for it start finding it. Let me tell you about Isaac and the wells. His father Abraham had dug wells across that country. Good wells with real water. After Abraham died, the people of the land filled every one of them with dirt, not because they needed the ground, out of spite. So Isaac came back to that same land in a time of famine, and he did something that must have looked pointless to everyone watching. He dug out his father's wells again, the same wells, the same ground, and he gave them back the names his father had given them. He was fought for the first one. He moved and dug again and was fought for the second one. He moved and dug a third time, and that time nobody came against him, and he named that place Room, because he said, "The Lord has made room for us, and we will be fruitful in the land." I am telling you this because you have watched things get filled in. You have watched work you did get undone. You have had to start over on ground you had already covered, and you have wondered what the point was. Dig again. The water is still there. What was buried was not destroyed, it was only covered, and covered is not the same as gone. And there is a third well coming, the one nobody fights you for, the one where I make room. I want to speak now about everything you have sown that you believe came to nothing. You have given in seasons when giving cost you. You have shown up for people who never showed up for you. You have been faithful in small hidden things that no one ever thanked you for. You have prayed for people who never knew you were praying, and because none of it produced a visible result, you have quietly concluded that it was wasted. It was not wasted. Nothing sown into my hand ever is. Think about Ruth, a widow in a country not her own, gleaning behind the harvesters in a field, picking up what was left after the workers had passed. That is as low as it gets. She was not building anything. She was surviving one day at a time, and she was doing it out of loyalty to someone who had nothing left to give her in return. She did not know the field she happened to be working in belonged to a man who would redeem her whole situation. She did not know that she was standing in the line that my own arrival would come through. She was simply faithful in a field, on an ordinary day, with no idea that everything was already turning. You are in a field like that. You do not see the whole shape of it yet. But the faithfulness you have shown in years nobody applauded is the exact ground I am now moving in. There is one more thing that will begin to grow in you, and I want to name it so you recognize it. A quiet authority, not loudness, not the need to have the last word. A settledness that does not require anyone's approval to hold its position. You will notice that you no longer need to explain yourself to people who have already decided about you. You will notice that you can be in a room where things are tense and not be moved by it. That is what comes of being covered and knowing it. A person who is certain of where they stand does not have to argue about it. And you will find that you carry your house with you. The peace that settles in those rooms will not stay behind when you walk out the door. You will take it into difficult places. People will feel it on you before you have said anything, and some of them will not know what it is they are responding to. Others will ask. And when they ask, you will have something true to tell them, because it will have happened to you and not merely been described to you. That is how this spreads. It begins in one house. It never stays in one house. I want to finish by telling you what I told a crowd sitting on a hillside, because it was about houses too, and it is the last thing you need before this begins. 2 men built. Both of them worked hard. Both of them ended up with something standing that looked, from the road, like a finished house. The difference between them was entirely underneath, in a part nobody could see, and on a clear day there was no way to tell them apart. Then the weather came. The rain fell, the rivers rose, the wind struck both houses. One stood. One came down, and the fall of it was great. I did not tell that to frighten anyone. I told it because I wanted people to understand that the foundation is not decided during the storm. It is decided long before, on ordinary days, when nobody is watching. That is what these past years have been doing in you. Not because your suffering was a lesson I arranged for your improvement. I want to be clear about that, because people have said such things to you and they landed badly. Much of what happened to you was simply wrong, and I did not author it. But I am able to take what was meant to break you and set it under you as something to stand on, and that is exactly what I have done. You are not standing on optimism. You are not standing on a good mood that will burn off when things get hard. You are standing on rock, and you have already been through enough weather to know it holds. There was a man named Joshua who stood in front of an entire nation at the end of his life and made them choose. Serve me or serve something else, he told them, but decide today. And then he said the line he is remembered for. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. He did not say, as for me. He said, me and my house. What one heart settles reaches into every room around it. That is what you are being given. Not a private comfort you keep to yourself. A house that has been set apart, and a covering that extends over those you love, over the ones you carry in prayer, over the people whose names you say when you cannot think of anything else to say. You have worried about them. I know you have. There are people you love whose situations you cannot fix, and you have lain awake carrying what you have no power to change. Bring them under this covering with you. Rahab did not hide alone. She gathered everyone she loved inside the walls and kept them there, and the covering held for all of them. Now hear where this began and where it still stands. I said at the start that a call had come from heaven to your address. Let me tell you how that call actually reaches a person. I stand at the door and I knock. I do not force the door. I have never forced one. I knock and I wait. And if anyone hears my voice and opens it, I come in and I sit down and I eat with them, the way friends do who have known each other a long while. That is the whole of it. That is what all of this has been. Not thunder, not a demand. A knock at your door, and my voice on the other side of it, and the handle on your side. You have heard it. That is why you have stayed with these words instead of turning away, and why something in you has been responding before your mind had time to agree. You know this voice. You have known it for longer than you have been willing to say out loud. So open the door. Do not wait until your life is more presentable. Do not wait until you have got the anger under control, or the doubt resolved, or the same failure finally beaten. I am not asking for a tidy house. I am asking for an open door. The tidying is mine to do, and I do it from the inside once I am in, and I have never once been put off by what I found in the entrance. And when you open it, understand that I am not visiting. Visitors are careful with a house. They stay in one room and they go when it gets late. I am not doing that. I am moving in. I am going into the rooms you keep closed. I am opening the windows in the parts of your life that have not had air in years. I am staying through the seasons when you are difficult to live with, and there will be seasons like that, and I have already accounted for them. I do not leave. That is the difference between me and much of what you have known. So let me say plainly what is settled, and let it be the thing you hold on to when the days get ordinary again. Your house is covered. The weight that sat in those rooms is being carried out. What was buried is being cleared, and what was taken is being restored. The voice that has accused you in your own home is losing its place. Your rest is coming back. Your thinking is clearing. Your strength is returning, and it will not be spent this time on merely surviving. The people I have set for you are coming toward you. The ones who were never meant to stay are being loosened gently, and you will not have to do that painfully or on your own. What you sowed in the years nobody noticed is standing in the field right now, ready to be brought in. And you will not be the same person you were when this started. You already know that. You have felt it beginning even as you listened. I have not forgotten you. I have not been elsewhere. I have not been waiting for you to become someone more deserving before I would come. I have been at the door, and I am knocking, and there is nothing in your history that changes the fact that the one on the other side of it is me, and that I want in. The road ahead of you is not empty. I have already walked it, and I will walk it beside you, and there is no room you will enter that I have not already gone into first. Open the door. Let your amen be the sound of it opening.
We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.